All right, kit time. This one says GY18041. It looks teeny tiny. Let's get it onto a tray. Oh, come on, open up. You know, I hate these Ziploc bags that I can never open up. All right. Okay, what do we got? We got a PC board. It's a EQ kit. I've built lots of those. EQ Kit seems to be very busy building kits. I guess it's in their name. And I know what it is, but I think I'll keep you guessing until the end. There's not much going on here. There's a surface mount part on the bottom I have to put on. But yeah, it's kind of teeny tiny. There's the board. All right, let's start building. Okay, where should we begin? Always begin with the flat things. That's what I say. I have what appear to be 3 inductors. That's interesting. And they're marked here on the board 1 microhenry, 1 microhenry, and 0.1 microhenry. So I'm assuming that the 2 that are stuck together are the 1s, and that one is the 2, or the 0.1s. And I don't know, the color codes look identical. They're brown black, so 1. And then this one has a gold band, this one has maybe a silver, I don't know. They're kind of weird. All right. Let's put down the one micro henries. So now that I'm fully vaccinated, me and the wife went to one of our favorite spots. We went to Monterey, went to a Pacific Grove. We always stay in Pacific Grove. If you go to Monterey, I mean, you can stay in Monterey, but I recommend you go stay at in Pacific Grove, which is just a stone's throw away. I like it. Got to eat some good food. That's one of the reasons I like going there. The food is, there's a few chefs in town that own a couple of restaurants, and food there is just outstanding. Clam chowder, really, really good clam chowder. If you like white clam chowder. And got to eat probably one of my favorite foods of all time, which a lot of people probably have never had, what's called sand dabs. Sand dabs are particular to this area. They are a bottom fish. They're a flounder. And where's my solder? There it is. They're a flounder, and they're usually pan-fried and breaded. They're very sweet, lovely, delicate taste. I love sand dabs. Anyway, so ate some sand dabs on the wharf. If you go to Monterey, go to Ablanetti's. I like that place, although any of the food there is good. I forget the chef's name. He owns 3 restaurants in town. And, oh, you know, we should put this, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. We can put the surface mount part on now or later. I guess we'll put it on now. Anyway, yeah, sand dabs. Check it out. So let's see here. Let's get the board flat. Then things won't run off. And we'll put a little dab of solder over here. And that's where we will glue to. Our tweezers. So, like I've said before, it's one of the most beautiful spots on Earth, I think. I'll put a couple pictures here. This is north of Pacific Grove, north of, actually north of Point Lobos, if you know. There's a state park, Point Lobos. It's a little bit north of that. It's south of Big Sur, though. So, very rugged. I need a magnifying glass. Very rugged. The picture looks like it's could be an island in Hawaii, but beautiful, beautiful place. The ocean was very nice that day. Nice, deep, rich, clear pools of water. It's gorgeous there. Absolutely gorgeous. If you go certain places, you can go tide pooling. My daughter went tide pooling there the other day, and they got to see an octopus. That's kind of cool. I've seen little bitty octopuses in the tide pools. So you'll see a lot of anemones, a lot of crabs. So I always put the solder on and then pull away, and it seems to create a nice looking fillet. Unfortunately, I filled up a couple of holes there. Now I won't be able to put the through hole parts in. Let's see if I can unclog the there we go, unclog the holes. That's easy. Right. Stayed in a hotel, motel, I guess. Definitely not 4 stars. There's some pretty swanky places in Monterey. But unless you're going to spend a lot of time in the room, I don't see why you need to spend the money. I have spent time in the nice places, though. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let me adjust things for... All right. I remember once when I was at Hewlett Packard, they had a meeting there where all of the general managers of all the different divisions of Hewlett Packard came. Of course, they get to go to expensive, fancy places, not like us grunts, you know. So of course they stayed at the fanciest hotel in Monterey. It's right on the ocean, and basically booked the hotel, the whole hotel, like every room, and all of the catering, and they spent a ton of money. They were there for 1 week, right? So all these big executives there for 1 week. I got to go for 1 day, and the reason that I went was that we had a project in R&D at HP Laboratories that was going to be the next big thing, and we got to take it. So all the general managers were there. We got to demo it, saying, "Hey, look at this cool thing that we've come up with." And because they had rented out the entire hotel and spent so much money, they gave them a good rate, of course, right? And the people who booked it, the policy was, okay, give us the rate, but it's good for 1 year. And so that rate was available all year long, and to anybody who had an HP ID. Even if you were on business or not business, you could go there and you could get this fantastic rate. Now, you had to know about it. You had to know to ask. But if you did know and you did ask, you got a 4-star room for like $100. I was like, wow. So we did stay there a few times because of that great deal. That was a good year. All right, what's next? There's a teeny tiny crystal. that in. The aquarium that's there in Monterey was also a Hewlett-Packard thing. I think it was Hewlett's daughter? I think it was Hewlett's daughter who was a oceanographer. And she said, "Daddy, can I have a fish tank?" And so he donated a bunch of money and they built the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Yeah, nice to have a rich daddy. So she got her fish tank, and it's a really, really nice research facility and museum and stuff. So they did it really well. The story is, here's a story. The story is, what's this capacitor? 103. There's one exhibit where there is a ocean waves crashing in a tide pool. Well, it had to be all faked. The ocean waves had to be faked. There is part of the aquarium that has the real ocean. It's built right on the ocean, and waves do crash in a section where they feed otters and stuff, so that's pretty cool. But this particular thing, there was this wave machine that had to be built to create these waves, and somebody designed one and it didn't work really good, and Daddy said, "I think I can do better." So Daddy designed the wave machine. He was a very smart person. A very humble person too. I knew people who worked in the machine shop, and Mr. Hewlett would come in every once in a while working on a home project. He needed a little bit of metal. And they came down to the machine shop and they caught him head deep in a 55-gallon drum picking through the cutoffs and looking for scrap metal. And they said, "Bill, we have good metal. We can just cut you off some if you'd like." He goes, No. This is fine. I'll just use the scrap stuff here." He never used his... He never pushed his weight around, ever. He was a very nice man. Interesting. These look like these want to be laid down, so I guess we'll do that. They were both very nice men. All right. Let's see here. Let's see if I can hold these with one finger and solder with the other finger. Do my three-handed trick. Oops. Oh man, I let go too soon. Do not let go too soon. Let the solder freeze again. Go into its solid state. I was looking forward to going to an antique shop down there that I used to like to pick around trying to find guy stuff. I call it guy stuff, tools and old stuff. But it was gone. COVID killed it. It's got a lot of switches. It's got a lot of switches for not many components. You call it soda or you call it pop? Depends on where you are in the United States, right? We call it soda here. Took my soda cans, my aluminum cans, to the recycler. Got 20 bucks. We have a pretty steep recycling fee here in California, and they give it back to you when you do recycle. So it makes sense to go to the scrapyard and get the refund. only like a bag and a half of cans, so 20 bucks. Okay, a couple more capacitors. 24. And another one. I don't see the other one. Uh-oh. Might be shortchanged. Might be missing one. And I plugged up a hole. Should go back and look at the footage, see if I swept it onto the floor or I really did lose it. All right. I mentioned a state park, Point Lobos. If you're a photographer, you may have heard of it. Edward Weston is a very famous photographer, and he took lots of pictures at Point Lobos. Very interesting rocks there. Lots of texture. He's the guy who took the picture of the pepper, the famous pepper. And his son Brett continued. Was a great photographer. I like Brett Weston's stuff. I like that old style black and white photography. All right, I'm missing a 223 capacitor, and I do not see it. 223, what is that, a 0.002? I think that's what it is, 0.002. Oh well, let me see if I can't dig one up. Interesting. Well, it does come with a battery pack though. And 3 volts. Guess we can put that on. Looks like there's a strain relief here. You come through the bottom holes and then go from the top down. That adds strain relief to things. And I did it backwards, but that's okay. I'll just cross them. Even better strain relief. Negative goes over there. And positive goes over here. And then I need to hold everything in place while I turn it over. So just kind of smush that on there. Okay. Got a lot of photographers around here. We had Ansel Adams, of course. If you go to Yosemite, you can see a lot of his stuff. Ansel used to live here in San Francisco. Oh, I did it wrong. Actually, it winds twice for the strain relief. Oh well, so I'm lazy. Anyway, they have a couple sets of holes there. A friend of mine who was a photography major at school, got his degree in photography. He studied the zone system of Ansel. The zone system has to do with how the film captures from white to black, and You can expand. It's like gain and offset. You expand it, just like electronics. You have gain and offset, and the negative can capture less than the human eye, and the photographic paper that you printed on can capture less than the film. So you're always having to do these dynamic range reductions as you print. And the zone system was a scientific way to measure all of that and to make it work better. So he was doing the zone system, and the way that you do it is you calibrate your film. So let me try to find this capacitor here. Yeah. Anyway, so you need to calibrate the film. You need to figure out what ISO. So you get like ISO 100, ASA 100 speed film, and you'd say, oh, okay, it's 100. But if you do the zone system, you need to measure it exactly. It's not going to be 100. It can be plus or minus, right? In fact, if you're a National Geographic photographer, they would do that for you. They would tell you what ISO speed they want you to shoot the film at. So they would give you like Kodachrome 64, and they said, well, shoot it at 80 or shoot it at 30. They would tell you exactly what ISO value they got in the lab. And anyway, so he did it, and he got an odd number. He got something that just didn't seem right to him, and he thought, well, maybe he was doing it wrong. So he wrote to God. He wrote a letter to God. He said, Mr. Adams, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm getting this weird result, blah, 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 blah. And Ansel Adams returned a card. He returned a little postcard, and this little postcard answered his question. And he signed it AA. I think that was one of his prized possessions, his postcard from Ansel. There you go. I think that's the right capacitor. Anyway, we'll see if it works or not. All right, so what is this thing? This thing's a FM radio. Yay. Another radio. Yay. Yeah. Oh well, let's see if we can't hook it up and make it go. See if it does anything. Okay, I have it hooked up. I got 3 volts going in, and I've got my amplifier hooked up. Let's plug it in. All right. It's got a button for channel up. Channel down. It's got a button here. Oh, power on and off. It's got an on off button. And it's got volume up and volume down. Oh, success. I finally built something that worked good. I don't think I'll get any copyright strikes on these things here. Anyway, there you go. So, yeah. What do I think of this kit? Well, if it's cheap enough, I think buy it. There's not much to it. It seems to be a good radio. I didn't put an antenna on it. In fact, I don't even know where you solder an antenna to it. That's interesting. Maybe it doesn't need one. Doesn't seem to. That's kind of weird. Maybe it has one built in. Maybe it has like a little loop antenna around the outside or something. That's cool. Yeah, I think it does. I think a trace around the... Yeah, I think it does. Built-in antenna, so it works great. Sounds good. Easy to build. Might be a first step into surface mount. If you've never done surface mount before, that was, if you've never done that before, it's tricky. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. You need to fine-tip soldering iron, although you can get away with a fat one and some solder braid and stuff. Yeah. I like it. It was missing, I don't know if that was my fault or the kit's fault, but it seemed to be missing a capacitor, but otherwise, a good kit.